When you put it all together, with 0% interest rates projected for 2 to 3 more years, high unemployment in a consumer-driven economy, and ridiculous spending that they are showing has no signs of slowing, but accelerating, everyone in the country should be expecting some form of collapse if they weren't dependent upon the mainstream media to tell them what to think. And the media is not telling them because it seems that there's another agenda. As all these circumstances are playing out, it seems that the powers that be are moving with a different narrative. Which brings me to my next point. Let's talk about what's brewing geopolitically. The mainstream media is going heavy about the biggest cyber attack in history, and they are making claims that it was Russia that did the hack.
Experts in the field are pointing to Russia as the culprit behind the attack, although the country says that it had nothing to do with it. This thing is huge and sprawling and invisible. The consequences could be wide-ranging and quite scary. CNBC's Eamon Javers explained it to us.
The news first emerged last week when the cybersecurity firm FireEye said that it had been the victim of a very specific targeted hack by what it called a nation-state actor. FireEye taking some heat for being a cybersecurity company that in turn was actually vulnerable to a cyber strike, but they went public first with the details of this hack. Then we learned on Sunday that this hack had actually hit a lot of government agencies as well, including Treasury and the Commerce Department. And as the week went on, cybersecurity experts' jaws continued to drop as they found out the extent and the breadth of this striking cybersecurity attack that has now dated back months. Experts now believe that the Russians were behind it, and they initially got into these systems as far back as March of 2020. That means that the Russians have been inside some of the most sensitive government computer systems for months, inside some of the most sensitive corporate computer systems for months. And the fear is that even if experts are able to find this malware, stamp it out, and eliminate it from all the servers, the Russians will have had enough time now to create their own secret backdoors back in. The expectation here is that the Russians won't do something provocative. They have enormous access now to American systems. They could do extraordinarily damaging things in the physical world, in the financial world, to the U.S. economy. The expectation, though, is that they won't do that because they don't want to start a war. They won't do anything that's at such a high level that it'll provoke an immediate U.S. military response.
Russia, of course, is denying this, and now we are hearing that China could have been involved with it as well. Based on what the news is saying, though, what you can gather is that it's evident from their narrative that Russia is against the United States and beginning to wage a cyber war against us. Joe Biden on Tuesday said that the huge cyber attack cannot go unanswered.
We can't let this go unanswered. That means making clear and publicly who is responsible for the attack and taking meaningful steps to hold them in account. Initial indications, including from Secretary Pompeo, Secretary of State, and Attorney General William Barr, suggest that Russia is responsible for this breach.
It's just a matter of what will be the true catalyst or major spark that will put things in motion. But again, this is not the only thing happening in the world. The mainstream media, whose job it is to keep the public informed, is not fully informing the masses that the United States Navy sent their first guided missile-class submarine to the Persian Gulf in 8 years in an apparent threat to Iran. The nuclear-powered USS Georgia comes within striking distance of Iran with its 154 Tomahawk missiles and dry dock for SEALs. In the Navy Times, it was reported that earlier this month, the United States military flew 2 bomber aircrafts to the Middle East in a mission that U.S. officials described as a message of deterrence to Iran. And this is not the United States alone. The Jerusalem Post reports that IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, IDF submarine crosses the Suez Canal as a direct message to Iran. According to Arab intelligence that confirmed the reports, the submarine passed the Red Sea and was making its way towards the Persian Gulf. We should not forget that it was recently confirmed that Israel assassinated one of Iran's nuclear scientists, and Iran has pledged a response and has given multiple threats. So we have the United States blaming Russia for the biggest cyber attack in the United States history, and then the United States and Israeli Navy sending nuclear submarines to threaten Iran. Is that it? No. Over in the South China Sea a few days ago, Taiwan prepared warships to stand guard in response to Beijing's aircraft carriers traveling close to the island. Reuters reports the group of aircraft carriers sailed through the sensitive Taiwan Strait on Sunday, one day after a U.S. warship passed through the waterway. 6 warships and 8 Air Force aircraft were deployed to monitor the Chinese vessels. Russia and China on Tuesday, December 22nd, flew their bombers in a joint patrol over the Pacific. The Russian military said that a pair of its Tu-95 strategic bombers and 4 Chinese H-6K bombers flew over the Sea of Japan and the East China Sea. The Russian Defense Military said in a statement that the joint mission was intended to develop and deepen the comprehensive Russia-China partnership, further increase the level of cooperation between the two militaries, expand their ability for joint action, and strengthen strategic stability. Please know, there are fears that World War III with China could explode ahead of Joe Biden's inauguration. There are a lot of rumors of war going on right now, and the possibility for conflict is nearing. None of it should be ignored. None of the conflicts that were potential disruptors in the beginning of 2020 were solved or weakened. In fact, things have intensified and gotten worse around the world.